Hey everyone, this is Chris here with Daily Motor, and today we've got the infotainment tour and demo on the 2023 Honda HR-V and its 9-inch touchscreen infotainment system. Before we get started with all of the tech in this Honda HR-V, let's hop out into the rain very briefly and take a look at it. It'll be real quick here, but this is the newest generation of Honda HR-V, new for the 2023 model year. This one's finished in Nordic Forest, kind of a blue-green color, and it is an EXL, so top of the line trim. If you want to see more on this Honda HR-V, make sure to check the link in the description to all of our other videos, including a first drive, a sound system test, and a full review. Let's go ahead and hop back in here, get out of the rain, and take a look at the tech here in this new HR-V. So with this being a fully new generation of Honda HR-V, Honda gave this the new 9-inch touchscreen infotainment that we see in a lot of new Hondas. In fact, it looks very similar. It might honestly be the same screen that you get in the Honda Civic. I'm not 100% positive on that, but it is mounted in the exact same spot on the dash and does look to be exactly the same. Before we hop over to this infotainment screen, let's take a brief look here at the cluster. We do have a partially digital cluster. The right-hand side is a fixed-in-place analog speedometer. On the left-hand side, we have a digital rev counter and digital speedo there in the middle, as well as our fuel gauge down there, mileage, and so on. This is a pretty simple digital cluster. There isn't too much going on here. You control everything over here on the left-hand side of the steering wheel. You click the home button here, and if the car is running, you only have to hit it once, but you can scroll through all of your different settings. See all the different things you can do here. You've got phone, navigation, driver attention. You can see your all-wheel drive torque distribution, which is pretty neat. Seatbelt warning. You've got a maintenance screen in here. You can see I've got 60% oil life left. You can turn everything off, just have nothing on there. You can adjust your brightness, gauge display settings, warnings, range and fuel, speed and time. And it scrolls continuously, which is nice. You don't have to go top to bottom. You can just see what is going on. You can see you can have a compass there on the left or whatever you would like. So not too much going on here, but at least they give you a couple different options for what you want to see in that left-hand side gauge pod. But let's go ahead and move on here to our 9-inch touchscreen infotainment display. Pretty simple. We're pretty familiar with these Honda systems by now, and they're all just about the same. We've got 3 pages of apps here. And of course we do, with this system, have wireless Apple CarPlay. And today we'll be using wired, but just know that we do have wireless. We'll also be showing you some Android Auto later on in the video, but first let's take a look at some of the permanent features here on this screen. So the first thing we have on the left-hand side are all of our physical buttons. We have a home button, which if you're somewhere else, will take you back to your first page of apps. You have a back button that will effectively do the same thing, except, it'll take you back one screen from where you're at. You've got a volume knob here, which is excellent. We love that manufacturers are listening to all of the ornery journalists and bringing back volume knobs, so that is nice. And you also have track select buttons or a tune selector here right below the volume knob. 2 little physical clicks there to get you back and forth on the radio or wherever you may be. On the first page here, the apps menu is actually what you use to customize all of these different icons that you see on these 3 pages. So if you want these to look differently, you can go into this menu and you can, select or deselect things that you want to have on home. So if I deselect AM radio and go back, you can see that we no longer have the AM radio tab here on our second page. We just have a blank spot. So you are able to configure what you actually want to be on this main screen, which is pretty nice. That way, if you don't like something being somewhere, you can always get rid of it or replace it with something else. So let's take a look at what all of these do. You saw what the app screen does. You've got your phone screen here if you do have a phone connected. My girlfriend had her phone connected in here wirelessly earlier, so now this car has been defaulting to her phone for the entire week. Go ahead and go back. If you do have your phone plugged in for CarPlay, actually, you know what? Let's just go ahead and plug my phone in so you guys can see some of these features. Plug the phone in and see if that prompts CarPlay to come up. Okay, sometimes that takes a while to connect. So let's go ahead. Oh, nope. Are we good? Okay. So my phone is now plugged in here for CarPlay, so if you go to the phone menu, you can see that it just takes you right to your phone projection. Kind of neat if you just want to have a quick way to go to your phone screen in CarPlay or Android Auto, it will do that for you. A little sneak peek there at Apple CarPlay. Go over here to our FM radio tab. You can see that we have presets down there on the bottom, as well as a seek button on the screen, tune, scan, and station list. If you don't want to use any of those, you can see we can go on to 89.9. You can use these buttons here to tune. A little bit out of reach for the passenger, which is unfortunate. If the passenger did want to change the radio, they would have to reach all the way over here. They could get a little bit closer here and press this seek button on the left-hand side of the screen, or the tune button to put in whatever station they want to listen to. You can have that go on there. Otherwise, very straightforward. Volume knob, of course, over here on the left, but pretty straightforward radio display. On the top here, we have radio settings, and we also have a sound adjustment for bass, treble, balance, fader, and all of the other things. You can see I've just got mine set to the middle. You've also got speed, volume compensation. If you want your music to get louder as you roll and quieter as you come to a stop, you are able to set that in this menu as well. These things will also exist in the regular settings menu, but you do have shortcuts to them if you are listening to the radio. You can see down here FM is highlighted, as you can get to it from this low down shortcut menu as well. Bluetooth audio we don't have connected, but that's where that would exist if it were to be connected. We'll get to Apple CarPlay a little bit later. We'll take a quick look at Sirius XM. Everything on here is pretty much going to act the same. You can see all of your channels here, your presets, and you've got the same settings up there on the top right. So all acts pretty much the same there for Sirius XM. Trip computer here, you can see we are in need of some petrol. We've got 53 miles to E. And today I've only been averaging 20 mpg, but I've only driven a few miles today. You can see overall we've been averaging a little bit higher, 28 mpg. That was probably the longest trip there, 253 miles. But you can track all of that in your infotainment. You can also see that on the cluster, but sometimes it's nice to see it a little bit bigger. If you're hypermiling, you want to keep track of what you're doing, you can see it on the big screen there. If you wanted to USB in for just regular music off of the phone, it just prompts you to go to Apple CarPlay. You can see what's playing right now on my phone. Over here to general settings, you'll see some of the things that you saw earlier on the radio, from sound or whatever else. But you've also got system settings, connection settings, display settings in here. Let you guys take a look at some of those. Turn on your different lines for your camera, voice control mode, all of those things. Vehicle settings actually exist in a separate menu, and you can see that they actually look a little bit more modern. You've got some different settings here, like TPMS calibration, different lighting, door settings, and things like that, maintenance info. It almost looks like an internet web page. It's kind of neat to have the vehicle settings be a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. System updates exist in here. You have to be connected via wireless to do that, and we are not. You've got a clock in here if you just want to have a calm screen. You can switch your clock face to a number of different options here. Kind of neat. If you want a spaceman, you're able to have that. Kind of cool. You got a number of different choices there. What else do we have in here? We have Honda Link. Got to have the Honda Link app, so if you actually owned this car, you'd be able to take advantage of that. We just have a compass in this vehicle, no in-house navigation on this 9-inch infotainment screen. You've got smart shortcuts, which all appear to be Sirius XM stations, but you can set these to be whatever you would like. You've got that in that tab. And another way to adjust your display here on the final screen, but you're also able to do that down there on the bottom from that programmed shortcut. So overall, a pretty simple screen, not too much going on. At the top, we haven't really talked about that yet. You can quickly switch your audio source if you want to do that. You can see right now we're streaming from Apple CarPlay. Also on the top is our time and also what song is playing. So pretty straightforward, pretty customizable, and pretty easy on the eyes as well with this dark display mode. Let's go ahead and take a look at Apple CarPlay, just the narrow view here. 4 apps across, 2 apps down. Seems to react pretty quickly. The overall texture of the screen here makes the quality of the CarPlay look a little bit less less clear than it normally would. We do have a slight matte finish here on the screen. Nothing too extreme like we see on some Toyotas and other vehicles, and that's just me being really petty, honestly. It's a totally fine material. There is Waze. Take a look here at Spotify. Google Maps. And that's pretty much it for Apple CarPlay. Everything reacts pretty quickly. It looks nice. It fills the entire screen, which is a big deal for me. I don't like when phone projection doesn't fill the whole screen, so this does a good job of that. And yeah, looks pretty attractive on here. Quick access back to Honda with the Honda tab, or you can push home here on the side, and that will take you back as well. I don't know if the back button, no, the back button will just take you to your main Apple CarPlay screen here. Back and forth, you can see. And then home will take you back home. So let's unplug this iPhone and plug in the Android phone. See what we've got for Android Auto on this 9-inch Honda screen. Okay, let's go ahead and dive in here to Android Auto, see what our home screen looks like. Pretty nice to see a full screen display here for Android Auto. 4 apps across. You can see there's a little bit of lag, but we usually see that with Android Auto. That is not unusual, and resolution seems to be very clear here for Android Auto on this Honda screen. We can take a look at YouTube Music, see what that looks like on here. And that Jason Derulo song's been playing now for like 14 weeks. Go ahead and scroll down here. You can see there's a little bit of lag here for Android Auto, but nothing abnormal, to be honest. And, well, there you go. This is an inactive Android, so we can't use a ton of things. I just like to use it to show you guys what the screen looks like overall. And, well, here it is. You got a Honda button here to take you back to the home screen. And that's going to go ahead and wrap up our review here of the 2023 Honda HR-V's 9-inch infotainment touchscreen. Overall, a pretty straightforward and easy-to-use system. No real complaints here. I think we'll probably see some sort of new infotainment from Honda within the next couple to few years. But honestly, this one works fine as it is right now. And I really don't have any complaints, other than the fact that some of this stuff is a little bit redundant. You've got a number of different ways to set shortcuts, and sometimes it can be a little bit confusing. But if you're someone that likes multiple ways to do things, well, then Honda has you covered here with this screen. Android Auto and Apple CarPlay both project nicely, fill up the entire screen. Apple CarPlay runs pretty smoothly. Android Auto, not so much, but that's really normal operation for Android Auto. So that'll go ahead and wrap it up for us today. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Again, if you want to learn more about the Honda HR-V, check the link in the description to our other videos. But we'll see you in the next one. This has been Chris here with Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.